you think, in your view, is the status quo preferable, or is that something that you'd like to see change going forward?
Personally, I think the status quo is preferable. And I learned early that when you're dealing with processes like elections, the fewer moving parts that you have in that process, the better off you are. It's important that the process be really, really transparent. And it's those parts of the process that are not transparent that have the perception issues and the misinformation flying around them. Many states, like you mentioned, we're only one of 3 that don't do early voting. A lot of states are really expanding their mail-in voting, their automatic voter registration, and drop boxes to drop off ballots. Every one of those things is a moving part, and something can go wrong with every moving part. And so those states that are expanding their profile in that manner are subjecting themselves to potential problems. And when there are problems, the voting public is unforgiving. And New Hampshire has a process that works really well. It is not broken. And the proof of that is the consistent high voter participation rate that we have when you compare us to other states in the country. And when it comes to a general election, for the last 6 election cycles, we have been at least in the top 4, and usually we come in around 3rd in voter participation. And to me, that is how you measure your success and how many voters engage in the process. I have not heard a groundswell of individuals coming up to me to say that we need to overhaul that system. I am hearing it from third-party groups, some of them I call them dark money groups, that receive a lot of money from out of state to engage in programs to help people participate in that process. But part of their program and part of their initiative is to try and get New Hampshire to move in the direction that the other states have been. And so, Oregon was probably the first state that really jumped on all mail voting. And it really did not help their voter participation. In fact, I think it sent it in the other direction, because before they implemented that procedure, they were consistently above New Hampshire in voter turnout in presidential general elections. And that changed after they went that route. We're a small state. The system in every polling place is unique among the country, and I talked about that at the very beginning. It's a system that works really, really well. Most people want to engage at the polling place and vote in person on election day. And we saw that even with the pandemic. We were concerned that 50% of the voters might want to vote by absentee when we were facing that public health crisis. And in the end, it was only 30%. People still went to the polls to vote. And part of the culture in New Hampshire is that the polling place is a social center. You might get to see your neighbors that you didn't see since the last election. And it's not unusual to have bake sales and potluck meals. And Mike Memley, who was a reporter for NBC News, went around the state with Bill Gardner when he was Secretary of State just to see how that process worked in New Hampshire. And they stopped in Bedford. Bedford is one of the largest polling places in the state of New Hampshire. When they went in, they had a bake sale. The Girl Scouts were selling cookies. They had a blood drive. And in the story that Mike Memley wrote, he said, "Wow, this is the Walmart of polling places, unlike any place else in the country." And so, in that regard, we are different, and I think that's special, and I think it's something that's worth keeping.